hopeful, regardless of the outcome. Boost the positive energy without one. Sorry about the jab, I'm on a holy field. I'm bearing fruit, but demons try to eat them like Yoshi meals. I piss them off the Batman like Falcone deals. Jungle full of predators, I know how Mowgli feels. So I got the fire, refuse to live in fear. I can spot suppliers, eating fresh drugs. Call me private label, I be leaving bread.
Welcome to episode 282 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. You can see it on the sign behind me if you're watching live. The only Pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, and practical living, but we're having something of a swampcast or simulcast or whatever you want to call it tonight. Sorry, y'all, got a little bug in my throat. Anyway, this episode, as always, brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from twooldcrowshomestead.com. Turn that simp into a pimp. Bam! Living Soil Foundation. Yep, that's what we started over here in Western North Carolina to clean this place up because nobody else is really doing it. Or we got some people out there doing things they don't really know what they're doing, but you know what? They're giving it the old college try. We are out there getting it done, and we got the videos to prove it. And sorry, y'all. It's wow. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, before I get into it's not. I'm going to say the guests I have, but these guys are my friends. And they also have a podcast, which I'll come to here in a minute. Let me just kind of handle some housekeeping because this Saturday, folks, be there, be square. You're anywhere in Western North Carolina. You want to show up to the Homestead Meetup. It's going to be at 15 Cane River Church Road in Burnsville, North Carolina. Now, it's going to go from 10 to 2. That's going to be this Saturday, the 25th. It's going to go from 10 to 2, and it's a potluck. And hey, for all you Hooter bandits out there, it doesn't mean bring a sack of weed and some rolling papers. It means you bring some food, things people can actually eat, and it better not be whack. So, yeah, Michelle's probably going to bring in some of her ballin' macaroni and cheese, and I might even do some barbecue because I need you folks to help me eat up some of this food that's in here. Oh, by the way, can't believe I'm back. I'm back live on YouTube after I got thrown off. Ever since I had the renegade Barbara O'Neill on here talking about ways in which you can. And so I'm not really used to looking at the doggone chat here and people actually writing in it. Oh yeah, my boys, the Homestead twins are in the house. Anna, let's see who else. Y'all, it's hard for me to read with these birth control glasses on, but you'll have to excuse me. Anyway, Redemption Shield 10% off with promo code PERMA. Wave Watch. Look, they got a special and a half going on right now, so you want to go check them out. Billy 100 will get you $100 off. But you can get even more with the special that they have. So you have to go to the website and go check that out. I think it's up to $150, and I'm not sure it's in addition to the $100 you get with the discount code of mine. And then EMP Shield, y'all, $50 off with promo code PERMA. Look, when things get stupid, you can ask my fellow journeyman electrician that's on this show, Alex, here in a minute, that, you know what, I could be wrong, but when an EMP jumps off or when something stupid jumps off, anybody with any sense at all ain't going to the club. You're going to your house or you're going to your bug out location. Well, if anything gets Kentucky Fried downstream, EMP Shield's going to cover you for 25 G's. So you can get $50 off with promo code PERMA. All right, y'all. It has been a while. All right, I got my friends on here from the Firmamental podcast. That's one of the ballingest names I ever heard for a show out there. And man, they do a lot of awesome stuff. But I'm not going to keep yapping. I wanted to handle let's see. I wanted to handle the, oh, shoot. Yeah, I'm having technical difficulties on my end. Okay, you know what? That seems to be par for the course tonight. Anyway, Raul, Alex, what's up, homies?
What's going on,
What's
Billy?
up, my brother?
Hey, let's start with Raul. Hey, bro. I know we're doing something of a simulcast tonight. Raul, why don't you tell everybody what your podcast is all about and where they can find you? And by the way, Homestead Twins, hold steady. Michelle, if you're listening to this, and I know you are, can you bring up my new favorite t-shirt? Sorry, Raul. I know I went a little sideways there, bro. Why don't you tell everybody about your podcast?
Yeah, I know we're the Firmamental podcast. Thanks for having us back on again, Billy. We always love to come on the Permaculture Pimpcast. It's always a good time when we're rocking with Billy Bond. But you can find us anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Any platform that you listen to podcasts on, you should be able to find us there. And pretty soon branching into doing the video stuff. So, Yeah, Firmamental podcast, man. It's a potpourri podcast. We talk about a little bit of everything, a little bit of conspiracy, a lot of faith, and mostly now turning the page on the past and looking forward towards the future and how we can get things right. So no more black pills, man. We want to serve up hope.
Alex, you serving up this hope too? I mean, you got a double helping of it up here in Canada as of late with Trudeau stepping down.
I just hope to move to America soon. So I got my Captain America hoodie on. Billy Bond is dressed like Cyclops from X-Men. We got our buddy Mexico Man in Arizona. We got like the trifecta of superheroes here. I'm pretty pumped up, but man, I'm excited to be on the show tonight. I got some epic things in my pocket that I've been promising Billy, so I can't wait to get to it.
Well, hey, y'all, if you're coming in tonight, look, we already had it's up on the screen right now where it says, Billy, your videos are being censored like crazy. Keep standing on the truth, brother. So you know what? That is absolutely what's going on. Ever since I got banned for a week for having Barbara O'Neill on here talking about something that, folks, if you knew what it was, it would blow your mind. So basically these days, and I didn't get the chance to tell these guys ahead of time, so we can't really talk. The thing that they're going to kick me off for is if we talk about anything concerning how somebody can actually cure themselves. Or yeah, so I mean, it's okay for you to get the sweet and sour sniffles and go out there and get jabbed up with whatever out there, but if you tell somebody there's a natural remedy out there that can help you, they will absolutely ban you. In fact, somebody sent me a video. Sorry if I forget your name right now. I get so many emails. They sent me a video of a guy, pretty popular YouTube channel, maybe 500,000 subscribers, and they kicked him off for showing people how to grow stuff in his vegetable garden. So yeah, it's those days. I mean, so with a new president here, I'm going to hit both these guys because we both got new presidents.
Mm-hmm.
So Raul, with we got Trump in the White House now. And everybody's thinking his happy days are here again. What are your views on this? Because I know you're an outside the box thinker. And while you're answering that, I'm listening. I'm just changing T-shirts.
Yeah, no, I got you, man. Actually, man, I'm looking at the good and the bad, but more I'm trying to focus on what's good because I think worrying is not doing any good. So I just focus on what I can control, and I'm letting go of things that I can't control. But one thing that I've noticed is in being involved in the truther, quote unquote, game, a lot of people are talking about, Trump's the boogeyman. He's this, he's that. I understand where you're coming from with all that, but I'm trying to also look at some of the things that are happening that good, and I believe in a God that is all powerful. He's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. I don't think that everybody that's in Hollywood is evil. There's people that are actually talented that made it there on their own merit, and they actually got talent. I think that there's people in government seats and government power that are still doing God's work. And I think ultimately God can use evil for good and for his kingdom. So instead of worrying about all these things that I can't control, I've been getting more into the word and reading scripture and just trying to see the signs as they come, not worrying about things that are coming further down the line. Like it's good to expose some of this stuff and talk about this stuff, but ultimately, like whether he's good or bad, this is the hand we're being dealt, and it's all about how we respond to it. So that's kind of the way I've been approaching it, and just trying to get more into God's word to see what God has to say about future events, because I think God's word is infallible. I think Jesus Christ is the truth, and ultimately I wanted to have the Holy Spirit and look at it through the lens of discernment and see things as they come in waves. And I'm not jumping to conclusions. And I think a lot of the times when we get really deep into the conspiracy, we just run around and chase our own tail. And I'm just trying to see things as they come.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have answered that one better myself. I mean, in fact, bro, I mean, as always, folks, in real life, I'm friends with these guys, and it bothers me that ever since that hurricane, I've been unable to reach out to these guys as often as I would like and, talk to them. It's one thing to do it on a podcast, but obviously there are certain things you can't talk about or cover or like you would with any friend. And so, I miss out on sometimes Raul, you're really, really excellent at being able to distill things down to the most important thing. And as of late, I've been kind of been losing sight of that at times because I'm balancing so many things. I'm trying to run multiple businesses. I'm trying to advance. I'm trying to deal with all the shadow banning, trying to get out this new information. And it seems like a big struggle, but you're absolutely right. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, what can I reach out and touch? That's what I can affect, essentially. That's what I can affect. And Alex, on your end, bro, up there in Canada, I mean, you had Trudeau saying he was going to step down. So, I know you're up in the Great White North, and you might have to look out for some of these creatures like you see on my shirt right here.
Oh my goodness.
I love
crazy.
They know the testicle polar bears. I mean, you might be running into some of those up there in Canada, bro.
No, man. In the wild, we don't have none of that. Don't worry.
Yeah,
the real polar bears take care of that.
Yeah, I want to give a hat tip to the Homestead twins. Boy, these guys are a trip. They sent me this shirt, and I've been meaning I was going to wear it in one of the videos, but it's a little bit tight. But anyway, I mean, when I say it's a little bit tight, that's another way of saying I need to lose a couple of pounds because I put on a couple as of late. But anyway, bro, I want to go back to you. I mean, we got an international audience here. I mean, I hear from people and they listen to this podcast. We're on YouTube, but honestly, our largest by far is the audio platform because people listen to this while they're doing the chores or whatever the case may be.
Sure.
But we do have an international audience, man. I hear from people all over the world, from Australia to the Netherlands. I mean, Canada, you name it. So there you are up in Canada. So what's the general zeitgeist up there concerning the latest changes you guys have gone through?
Oh man, that's a good question because I feel like I live a completely different reality than most people, right? When we talk about our belief systems and it's actually very funny to me that people are losing their minds that Trump is taking office, and yet for the last 4 years they were okay with a dead man with absolutely no brain walking around. Like, what's more uncomfortable, a dementia patient with nuclear codes, or Cheeto Orange Man bad? Honestly, like, there are no good Batman villains. They're all Batman villains. And if we put our power, or if we give our power to these characters, these puppets, we're giving it all away. And with Trudeau, I just laugh now. I mean, the guy is a complete imbecile. He's mentally retarded. He has absolutely no idea how to do anything. I'm sure his parents are extremely disappointed and at the same time kind of laughing. It's like, okay, this guy has to be in this position. And it's kind of an IQ test for the masses that will they put up with this complete moron? And we have in Canada, we've put up with this imbecile for 10 years. And his last amazing bow out is to stalemate our, political system by stepping down. They were going to actually do a no confidence vote in 5 days, January 27th, which would have forced an election probably somewhere around March or April. Now the Liberal Party has to go looking for a new leader. So that basically stalemates everything because it's not fair to them. Meanwhile, they're the ones in power that their leader is stepping down because of, he's done that absolute bad of a job. So basically we have no prime minister until August or September. And in that time, me and Raul have joked that this is Trump's opportunity to take over Canada with absolutely zero resistance, period. If America was going to take Canada in the next 6 or 7 months, they would have absolutely zero fight.
Man, well, does everybody up there know? I'm not sure where the dogs are coming from. Is that on your end, Alex?
Raul, he's not muted.
I'm just going to mute your mic for a second there, bro. Or at least I muted the wrong guy. Okay. Yeah. So I got to ask this. How many people in Canada are aware that he's actually the son of Fidel Castro?
Oh, man. Sometimes I feel like I'm the only one. It's actually really sad. When I don't know if I was doing that research for you, but I went on this big Trudeau thing. Maybe it was for Derek Stitt. And I did not realize that Fidel Castro, in the heat of it all, left Cuba and flew to Canada for Pierre Trudeau's funeral. Now, this would have been the most opportune time for America to assassinate him. Like, there's no reason to me, Castro doesn't leave unless he absolutely has to. And for sure enough, he actually sat right behind Justin Trudeau and had his hand on his shoulder for a lot of the funeral. And there's video proof of this on YouTube. You can just YouTube Pierre Trudeau's funeral. It's absolutely wild. But I can't remember. We had a guest and we were talking about bloodlines. So it might have been Gary Wayne. And he was talking about Justin Trudeau's mother. And it's actually her bloodline, which is the most valuable one. So as smart as Pierre Trudeau was and power hungry, he knew to get in with this bloodline, these Sinclairs, and because they're like Canadian blue bloods. They're I guess they're kind of like high and mighty for Canada. But it is funny to me that Fidel Castro actually planted his seed in her, and I'm guessing probably all 3 or all 4 of the brothers all have different fathers.
Wow. Yeah. I heard some weird stories about Trudeau's mom. Well, boy, I guess Fidel goes a long way for a booty call. So hey, Raul,
we call that a beaver tail up here in Canada.
Well, that just threw. Okay, there goes that show.
Oh man, there's plenty to come. Everybody, stay tuned.
Oh yeah. Well, we're being censored anyway, so who's actually going to hear it? But anyway, everybody will hear it on the audio platform.
We do have some interesting gold for you, Billy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're interested in hearing it, or your audience is
absolutely
interested in hearing some gold, but we're just going to switch gears just a little bit.
Yeah, please do.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, Billy, I don't know if you've heard the recent claims around the truth community where somebody in the truth community claimed that I was, controlled opposition recently. And I've had somebody making videos about me on the internet trying to expose our podcast, saying that I'm, working for the deep state and we're working for the enemy, which is completely ridiculous. Listeners, firmamentalists know, they know my heart. They know I'm bought and sold for Jesus Christ. But this individual likes to point out that there's characters playing the parts of other people throughout history. And we found a little bit of gold, man. And we think we found out, we know who the true Billy Bond is. So we're going to give you a chance to come clean right now before all your listeners live on YouTube and tell them that you've lived a double life and you were secretly famous back in the day and you had quite a big hit, brother. Are you going to come clean and tell us the truth now?
Yeah, man, I'm just going to come right out and say it, man. Okay, so this shirt, I am a trans testicle polar bear back in the day, my name is actually Billy, spelled I-E. And, I'm just a woman trapped in a man's body. So, yeah, what do you got? Okay.
I don't know. So I had a core memory unlocked the other day. And I messaged Raul. I'm like, I know exactly who Billy Bond is. And it took me back to 1992. I don't know if you recognize yourself from like 1992, 1993, Billy. But
dude,
I found you.
Well, I'll tell you what, the 92 Billy looks like he ought to be turning tricks in a bathhouse.
When you started taking off your shirt, I'm like, oh, he knows something's up. He knows we're going to take him down here.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So for those of you that aren't familiar, we believe that Billy Bond is Freedom Williams from CNC Music Factory, man. You got to come clean, brother. You got to come clean, man.
Hey, you know what? I was actually accused. I mean, I kid you not. When I lived in Oklahoma, there was a coach there by the name of Kelvin Sampson, and at University of Oklahoma, and people swore that I was him. Yeah.
Take the breath and go for yours on my command. Now hit the dance floor. It's gonna make you sweat. If that open up, indeed, I paid the price to control the dice. I'm more precise. To the point, I'm nice. The music takes control. Your heart and soul unfold. Your body is free and behold. Dance so you can't dance, so you can't dance no more. Get on the floor and get raw. Dip, come back and upside.
Yeah. Hold on, is Alex got his chest hair out? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What is going on here? Yeah.
That was for you, Billy.
Oh, well, we got to spring the joke for everybody else out there. Well, folks, there was a guy I had on this podcast not long ago, and he used to be a regular on theirs as well. And somehow my man went off the deep end. And I mean, when I say the deep end, he went off the deep end, and he's not the only one out there. There's a number of people out there, and I don't know what got into them, but all of a sudden they're claiming that those of us in the truth media are basically plants. Now, I had no idea until this day that Alex actually moonlights as a man dancer on the side.
Man, you make me sweat, Billy. You make me sweat.
Oh man.
Christmas was not kind to me. I'm sorry, everybody. Usually I'm a little bit more ripped up, but I put a few Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners on, so.
No, it's completely fine, bro. I mean, what else can you do up there when the weather? I mean, what is it right now in Canada? Like 20 below?
No. You know what? We had I think we had like 32, 35 today Fahrenheit.
Oh, heavens to Murgatroyd. It got up to freezing. How about that? Well, that's what the high was today as well. But yeah, folks, I mean, there's people out there, and I don't know whatever possessed them. But Raul, I mean, why don't you kind of unfold that? Because, I mean, I think, honestly, part of what's unfolding right now, when I first saw that, I mean, folks, the joke ain't wasted on me, believe me. But, I mean, honestly, I'm starting to see the truth community kind of eat itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Raul, why don't you tell the audience what exactly happened out there? Because I had no idea that you were a part of the Illuminati.
Yeah, man, that's the word out there. No, you know what? I think that we as conspiracy theorists, quote unquote, which we know is a ridiculous term, coined during the JFK assassination to people that weren't following the official narrative, right? It becomes a problem when you spend too much time in the realm of conspiracy. Like, you have to pull yourself out of the rabbit hole and live your life. And I think that, people just get swept away with some of this stuff. And we could do a lot of good work, but there's a lot of false rabbit holes out here that you could get sucked down or pulled down. And some people just get consumed in some of these conspiracies, and it just totally overtakes them. And what I'm seeing, it's almost like a demonic spirit that has fallen over the truth community and is causing dissension among the truth community. Because, for those of you that don't know, I used to be involved in the hip hop game at one time, and it's a very cutthroat. The music industry is very cutthroat. Underground rap music, egos, people, clawing their way to the top, tearing each other down for the limelight. And I thought the truth community, when I got involved with it, was the opposite of that. It was so inclusive and awesome. And all these people that were open-minded, all just interested in finding the truth and exposing darkness in this world. But I think people get consumed with this darkness, and they start to see things that aren't there, and they go looking for things, and they spend too much time in those rabbit holes instead of like researching God's word, reading God's word, praying, doing internal work. And when you get consumed by some of these things, it can discredit a lot of the good work that we're out here doing. Because there's some of these quote unquote conspiracies that we got smoking guns for, weather modification, a lot of things that we have smoking guns for. But then you can get pulled down some of these rabbit holes that are never ending, and they can discredit all the good work you're doing by posting a video or making some outlandish claims saying that you have all the answers. And, we had a friend that came on the show multiple times, I thought was a really close friend of mine. And I don't know, he got it in his head that I was part of the enemy set as a plant to mislead people, when all I've done on the podcast is talk about sometimes too openly talk about some of the personal things that I struggle with. But, you know, I had a brother start making crazy videos, and I was like, dude, I'm not seeing it. He didn't like the fact that I wasn't seeing some of the things that he was seeing. And so I guess he got it in his head that I was a plant and I was stopping him from doing his work. And this is an individual that I had an ongoing relationship with. I was in some, you know, text feeds with him and some other content creators. And there were messages sent in private just for fun, you know, and he started saving some of these messages and compiled a bunch of videos and came out with a video making claims that I was sold out to the Illuminati. And, you know, I was hurt at first and I wanted to clap back. And being that I used to be a battle rapper, I could have wrote a song about this dude and destroyed him with 100 million cut downs in a rap song. But, you know, I was more hurt than anything because I like to play around. You know, I joke around with my friends all the time. I was sending pictures of, I sent a picture of me wearing a goat mask on Halloween. I went to my kid's house and found this mask, and I took a picture of myself wearing it just as a joke, and I sent it to these guys in a text message, and he saved it, and he later uses it in this video claiming that that was me showing my allegiance to Baphomet and all this stuff, you know. And it's the same tactics that the mainstream news is using when they spin a story on somebody. He was scouring through hours of our podcast, finding certain sound clips, pulling sound clips, playing one part without playing the whole thing in its complete context to make us sound a certain way. But ultimately, when it came down to it, I had to find forgiveness in my heart, and I forgive him for what he did. You know, I just think that he got consumed and let his ego get the best of him. And I just honestly pray for him now and hope that he realizes that I thought he did a lot of good for the truth community. And there's a lot of awesome videos that this guy made. And I don't discredit the good work that he's done, but you can destroy yourself making videos like this. And what you don't realize is when you're tearing down other people, especially brothers in the faith, you know, we're here to support one another. And instead of go and do that to me, he could have had a conversation with me, but he had it in his head that I was compromised opposition. And there was nothing that I could say to him to convince him otherwise. But people who know me, they know who I truly am. And I don't hide these things. And I openly confess my allegiance to Jesus Christ. And there is no way that I'm bought and sold out for the enemy. And if I did take, you know, I'm a part of this secret society, man, please tell me where my payday is, because, you know, over here on Firmamental, we do this for free. I don't even get paid for this stuff. So I don't know. I think it's funny. Now that I look back on it, it's kind of funny. But I've learned from this, you know. You gotta watch who you allow in your circle, and yeah.
Yeah. To that point, I'll throw it over to you, Alex, because I'd love to get your perspective on this as well. But you know, in the Bible, it teaches us, and especially among believers, that if you have a disagreement with somebody, first thing you're to do is to go to that person. They don't listen, then you go to that person and you bring somebody with you. And then step number 3 is then you basically let the whole congregation know. He basically kind of jumped. I'm not going to say that I haven't been guilty of this very same thing. I don't want to be a hypocrite here, but I mean, to go from 0 to, it was so bizarre. I honestly didn't even know how to process it. I mean, what was your thoughts? Because you guys are out here doing this work, and it's selfless work. I mean, anybody, you guys know, because we speak the same language. Mm-hmm. By and large, this is a thankless job for the most part. I mean, you do this for the express purpose of A, it could be a hobby for some. B, we're all out there, for the most part, we all feel isolated in our certain areas because, like you said before, there ain't a whole lot of people around you that you could even have these conversations with. So we have to do it in the virtual world for many of us. And so when something that comes out like that, I mean, what were your thoughts on the whole matter?
Oh man, I went through the whole gambit. You know, rage, betrayal. If there's anything that me and Raul are, it's, you know, we go out of our way. If we find somebody we like, we're cheering them on right away. We're introducing them to everyone right away. We want everybody.
You guys did the same for me when I was on your show.
Absolutely. To me, we are like the Wu-Tang Clan of truther podcasts. And we help one guy and he gets stratospherically huge, and then what does he do as soon as he gets there? He takes a dump on us. Like, what? We're not super famous. Like most of his audience is like, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah.
Why are you taking a crap on these two dudes? Like, and we're the ones from the get-go, from day one, cheering him on. Raul actually paid money so he could vote more for being on the cover of Mr. Health and Fitness or whatever. Like, if Raul was such a bad guy, if we were bad guys, we just would have said, look at this retard who thinks that there's dogs and stars. Gone. Done. You know what? I got better people I got to talk to, like Billy Bond. No. You know what? It's all learning experience. Like, don't let everybody in your circle. And just because we did doesn't mean that we were wrong in any way. It's people don't realize that they're on this journey. They're this video game character, and they wake up every day and they get to choose who they are and who they want to be. And I can't control if somebody wants to all of a sudden become the villain in my story. They think that they're the hero and they're making me the villain all of a sudden. I can't help that. In my story, I continue to be the hero, and I continue to do the things that I think are blessing my world and those around me. And that's the way I try to live my life. And I surround myself with people like Raul. There's a reason why God put someone like Raul in my life, even though I kind of put myself into his life, but it was a very mutual thing. And there's a reason why me and him have been so tight for almost 2 years. If you looked at us on paper, we would not make sense at all. But that's just the beauty of what we're living through. That's the beauty of God and destiny and all these things that we try and like create for ourselves. Like, we kind of follow our instincts and create this incredible life. And, Firmamental might not go on forever. But I mean, when I'm an 80-year-old man and I'm talking to my grandkids around the fire and I'm whittling wood, I can tell them, hey, I was this like podcaster. What's a podcast, Grandpa? Well, it was this thing where we record radio shit and we'd hope that people listened and were entertained by, the fact that I ripped my hoodie off and I danced for Billy Bond on his show. But I mean, I'm a 46-year-old man and I can still do this. I don't think my dad was ever that cool or nerdy.
No, I think that's great. I mean, I just see, and it's funny we're having this conversation because I kind of see it unfolding right now in so many different realms where, okay, so the political, I got to kind of swing it back to this because I'm seeing people that were once tight, or people in the political realm, just because somebody else sees politics a little bit differently, they want to rip their heads off. I mean, I'm like, okay, are we really gonna are we gonna break fellowship over something so stupid and idiotic? But then there's going to be those other stabs in the back. I don't know what else to call it. Mm-hmm. Where you supported somebody, and you can ask Michelle, my wife. I mean, how many times where it almost makes you, if you're not careful, it makes you jaded and guarded to the point where you don't want to ever let anybody else in the door because, man, if I had a nickel, there was a guy down the road from me, man. I mean, guy stole thousands of dollars away, and I was helping the guy out. Or there was another person where, like you said, you help them get off and running, and then next thing you know, they're doing videos crapping on you. It's just blowing my mind, but it seems like this sort of thing is becoming more and more prevalent. In fact, when it happened to you guys, I was actually quite shocked because I'm like, hold on, man. These guys were some of his biggest supporters, man. Why would you do something like this? I don't get it, but I think we're going to see more and more of it, especially as this year unfolds, because, everybody seems to think that happy days are here again because Trump's been elected. Maybe Trudeau steps down, whatever. I don't see it that way. I really don't. There's a long list of things that Trump did when he got in office that, I'm thinking, okay, those look good. But I also read The Prince by Machiavelli, and I know how this thing unfolds. So you do all the cool things you're going to do right up front. Get everybody. I mean, what did you expect them to do? You do all the things up front. And hey, folks, I got also a esoteric topic on this swearing in that maybe we might want to cover too. But
Cool. Sure.
Right off the bat, what did you expect him to do? I mean, he's going to do all these things he said he was going to do. He let the prisoners out. He's making all these executive orders, except some of the most important ones, like maybe. Well, I better not get into that right now because I know they'll probably cut this feed.
Isn't it so crazy that they can undo everything? Let's say everything Joe Biden did, Trump can undo in the first day. How
Absolutely.
crazy is that? Like, your
Yeah.
country is not getting ahead if the next guy keeps undoing everything that your last guy just did.
Well, those are executive orders. They're not laws. I mean, if there's a difference, an executive order and a law are two different things. I mean, the way it works here. Now, if it was a law, he would obviously have to go through Congress, it'd have to hit both houses, and then ultimately he would have to sign it. But there are things that can be done. In fact, I think the executive orders are absolutely, I think they ought to be, for the most part, very, very a narrow band of things the president can do just with a swipe of a pen. But it's set. The system is set up exactly that way to where you can come in and do all these different executive orders. But everybody seems to think happy days are here again. But see, now that we're into this new year and new president, let me throw it back to Raul and ask. Bro, I know you're pretty good at looking at this crystal ball stuff. I mean, how do you see 2025 unfolding?
I'm with you that, a lot of this stuff looks good on paper, and to me, it's all just words until we see it come to pass. Now, like you said, I like some of the things that are being said, like withdrawing from the Paris Agreement, declaring the cartel a terror organization, cleaning up our streets, getting rid of criminals and cracking down on human trafficking, signing a bill claiming that there's two genders. That's ridiculous, right? Signing a bill that there's two genders. We have to sign a bill or an executive order claiming that there will be no more, all this woke ideology, gender nonsense that's been going on, but getting rid of the green energy deal, which we knew was a scam right from the start. But to me, it seems like what they're doing with Trump is they create all these problems with the previous people that were in power, right? I think what they did was they threw the biggest pile of crap at us and said, let's see how much of this they can take. And they just make everything so deplorable that we're just screaming for somebody. We're going crazy here, right? Like, how can all this stuff be happening? How can the world have fallen under such a delusion that we have all this nonsense going on? And then, here comes this guy poised to save us from all this, and they're hearing the cries of the American people that we want all this madness to stop. So then they come, and here's this guy. He comes in office, and now he's gonna set things straight again, right? It's they cause the problem, and then they bring their solutions. And on paper, the solutions look good, but I'm just looking at it like, what's tied behind that? Like, what's the Trojan horse they're trying to accomplish? What Trojan horse are they bringing in? So there's a lot of things that I see with Trump that on paper I like. I like some of the stuff that RFK talks about. Keeping the drugs accountable for what they're putting in them. Cracking down on what's in our food supply. We talk about weather modification. Let's talk about what they're spraying in our air. Let's get rid of some of these problems. But they'll talk about these things, but they just surface the problem. They're not getting deep to the root of the problem. They're just giving promises until we see things actually get done. They're just promises, right? That they're not following through on. That's the way I look at it. But I think that we're going to see some good come to pass. And I think that God might allow a small window of opportunity for us to get prepared. But I think ultimately there's Trojan horses, and they're going to flip the script on us at some point. So I don't trust. I put my trust and faith in Jesus Christ alone. I don't put my trust and faith in Trump, but I do like some of the things that are being said. But let's see what you actually do. I think right now it's just a political game, and they're propping up a hero that's going to come save us from all the bad that's been done to us over the last 4 years. But I don't see it playing out that way.
I'm going to be the cleanup hitter on this one. Alex, I'd like to hear your point of view as well.
Sure. I was going to say the crazy thing as a Canadian watching the pardons happen, and I know that's got to drive you guys crazy too. Honestly, like, the president has the power to pardon anyone for any crimes whatsoever. I thought Hunter Biden's laptop was a conspiracy theory and Russian disinformation, and no one is held accountable. Absolutely, he doesn't get anything, and all of a sudden he gets pardoned. And they even have all these clips of Joe Biden saying, "Oh, I'm not going to use my power to pardoned his whole damn family." And I don't know if this is a conspiracy. Everybody out there in YouTube land, help me out here. But I heard that what's Joe Biden's son's name? Hunter Biden. I heard that a bunch of his paintings were insured in California and they burned in the fires.
Get out of town, bro. Wouldn't shock me one bit.
And then I heard somebody made a joke that they actually shipped his paintings into LA so that they would burn. I think they were like insured for like 250 or 300 million. Everybody out there fact check me. I can see the comments going crazy, so hopefully they are. But I heard that. I'm like, oh, wouldn't that just be the funniest thing if you had this shitty Hunter Biden painting that was insured for millions of dollars? And it just, none of this stuff surprises me. Anthony Fauci gets pardoned for a specific date. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it's a date that goes back to 2014. And I believe he is being accused of that was the day where he started to sell information to China for gain of function research to the Wuhan lab, and it was specifically for that date. And you can't even make this stuff up. And RFK, I have it on my shelf. RFK even wrote a book called The Real Anthony Fauci, and as you're reading it, all you're doing is just nodding, and you're like, yeah, to us, this is all, to us, it's mainstream information. To the masses, to the media, or to the masses out there, they think Anthony Fauci is just this good guy, and meanwhile he orchestrated basically the next 9/11, or he was kind of the face of the next 9/11 of mass genocide of people. It's just, dude, you can't even make this. Are we in a video game? Because this is insane.
Yeah. Bro, when you look at what he did to orphans and what he did to dogs. I mean, that alone,
dog faces.
I mean, dude. Joseph Mengele would blush. I mean, with the stuff that this guy did and got away with. I mean,
right?
I just don't even understand how anybody could see this guy. I got to be really careful of what I'm going to say here, because honestly, if my family had been the victim of some of what, Dr. Mengele Jr., what he had done, I probably wouldn't be doing this podcast. I'd probably be needing a pardon myself. But
I'd be with you. I'd be on the suicide squad with you.
Yeah. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. But hey, we're gonna go in the conspiratorial realm, because I know there's a massive. Okay, this is definitely up you guys' alley, but I want to break this one down to you, and I want to cover this California fire. And Raul, you're the closest to it, and definitely want to hear. But I'm going to tell you, as far as my assessment of what I think is going to happen this year, does everybody remember the Deagle report? It predicted that by 2025, that America's population would basically drop from 330 million down to some estimates were 100 million to 70 million. Right. And these guys were highly, highly touted by even the CIA and a number of others. And so I'm wondering, I'm like, okay, is Fauci involved in that? Are we going to wind up in another war? How did we get there? Because right now and then, when you look at, and I got to be cautious about how I say this, because they'll cut the feed if I say it wrongly, that if you look at the number of people that participated in what Fauci was a part of, and also Trump helped be a part of, then yeah, there's videos all over Twitter right now about him, touting this jab. And if you look at those numbers, some people are saying that's how we get there. I'm not so sure. But here's one thing I do find a little bit curious. Now, at Trump swearing in, now, folks, guys, hang with me, because I'm going to break out something that's kind of esoteric and you may not know about. But all the way back in ancient Egypt, there was an obelisk. There was something called the Raising of Osiris ceremony. And all of the pharaohs, before they were basically inaugurated, they would basically pull them up to the largest temple complex in Egypt, which was the temple at Karnak. And so basically you have a dome over here and an obelisk over here. A dome and an obelisk. Wherever you find an obelisk, I guarantee in close proximity, you're going to find a dome.
Right.
That obelisk, all the way back until the time of, oh shoot, I can't remember the pharaoh, but as far as we know, that obelisk and this dome, the obelisk represents the phallic member of Osiris. Basically, the story goes they cut him into 14 pieces. His sister wife Isis tried to find all those pieces. She found everything, but his junk got ate up by a fish, and she was never able to find it. Well, anyway, she fashioned the obelisk and would perform this weird sexual ceremony, and it was called the Raising of Osiris ceremony. So every pharaoh in Egypt, whenever they would be inaugurated or brought into office, they would drag him all the way up to Karnak. He would stand at the dome, kind of like we do at the presidential inauguration. He would stand at the presence of the dome. But fellas, I got a twist on this that nobody's talking about. And why not talking about with the Firmamental guys? I know I can get away with it with you guys. So typically the president would be standing outside the Capitol. And if I remember, facing east. And typically that's how it goes. This time, President Trump was on the inside of the Capitol because of inclement weather. And does anybody know the name of that at the rotunda, the Capitol Rotunda? There's a painting at the very top of it. And it's called The Apotheosis of George Washington. And Walt Whitman, the famous Walt Whitman, claimed that apotheosis of George Washington, basically that represents George Washington becoming a god. Well, anyway, whenever that pharaoh would be doing that, taking his inaugurational address by that or under that dome, at the very same time, they were doing the Raising of Osiris ceremony. Well, to this day, sorry about the long-winded thing, but at the Scottish Rite Freemasons Temple in Washington, D.C., at exactly the same time, every single U.S. president takes that oath. They're doing that same Raising of Osiris ceremony. They claim they know what that ceremony is, in the hopes that someday there will be a president that will draw from the underworld, while they're doing that ceremony, draw from the underworld the spirit of Osiris to be implanted into that president. And I did find it a little bit curious that Trump, I mean, folks, I know it sounds a little bit woo-woo, but hey, I'm on here with the Firmamental guys, so there ain't no way we're not going there. So here he is swearing in, didn't have his hand on a Bible, and he's under the apotheosis of George Washington. At the very same time, they're in the Herodome over on the other side of 2.5 miles away from where they were in Washington, D.C., doing the Raising of Osiris. So anyway, I guess some would believe that maybe Trump or some other president will be imbued with the spirit of Osiris, and then at some point he's going to lose his ever-loving mind. Now, did that happen? I don't know. But anyway, I thought I would bounce that off of you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the odd things that the weirdest person that he's aligned himself, I find to be Elon Musk. And you look at all this money that they're pumping, $500 billion invested into artificial intelligence. And just being in the realm of conspiracy, you look at, what Elon Musk is involved with, right? SpaceX, Tesla. Then you find out that Tesla's work was secretly in the conspiracy community. It's widely known that Trump's uncle has Tesla's work. And then here's Trump aligning himself with this guy that runs a company named what? Tesla. And then Elon is also a character, right? I think he's a character. I think he's a plant. He didn't even create SpaceX. He didn't even create Tesla. He's just put in charge to run it. I think he's just a figure that they propped up and put there, but I don't trust the guy. I find that it's odd that Elon's name is also the character from a Werner von Braun book that was wrote. They're talking about traveling to Mars here on Firmamental podcast. We believe Firmamental, right? We believe in the firmament. We don't believe that we've ever been to the moon. We believe that was a hoax. We believe that we're in an enclosed system, that space in the heliocentric model, how they present it is false. All of this is part of this giant deception that they have us living in. And it's to lead us to these end time events But, you know, all this talk of the golden age that we're coming into, you hear this all over the mainstream media now, the golden age, the golden age of America. That's fallen angel talk. The time when the fallen gods, the 200 fallen angels that fell with Lucifer were ruling over humanity before they got wiped out with the flood. They created the seed of the Nephilim, these giants, right? And they're trying their second attempt to wage war with God again. But I find it so weird that, you know, Trump's son, this is one thing that I've been thinking. Trump's son, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be Trump, but I think Trump's son, whose name is what? Barron. You got a book that was wrote in the early 1900s about a time traveler. And the name of the book is The Last President, I believe. And the character in the book is Barron. And you got Trump's son, whose name is Barron. You got this guy, Tesla. You got SpaceX. You got all this stuff going on, artificial intelligence. And I believe that eventually this is what they're pushing us into, is marrying us with technology to break us of our birthright, which is salvation in Jesus Christ. I believe that God took the form of a man. He came down here. He sacrificed himself for our sins, and he died for humans. He didn't die for human chimeras. He didn't die for cyborgs. And I think the mark of the beast and all this stuff and marrying man with technology is part of the enemy's plan to wage war against God and break us of our birthright. That's what I look at, like, eventually all this stuff, that's what it's leading towards, because that's the one person that I'm just like really leery of who Trump has close to him. And it's like, how are they using these chess pieces? That's what I'm looking, just to see how this all plays out. But that's why I'm trying to read God's word more. So when we see, you know, there's going to be false prophets, false Christs, you know, that there's going to be miracles that are going to be performed, but are you going to fall for the tricks? Because I think eventually they're setting it up for this alien invasion type scenario, you know, and I don't think a lot of people see it coming. You have to really be in God's word to discern what these things are. And let me tell you, I don't think that they're extraterrestrials from another planet. I think it's a spiritual war. And I think that we have to have it in ourselves. We have to be in communion with the Holy Spirit to be able to see these things for what they are. And we can rebuke these things in Jesus' name.
Absolutely. Alex, yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't very lucid in how I explained that, because it was more of an impromptu kind of thing. But I don't think Trump is what everybody thinks he is. And is this dude the reincarnated, not reincarnated, but basically, is he going to be imbued with the spirit of Osiris? I don't know. I just think it's pretty interesting. And also it was kind of prophesied among some of these weirdo elites that someday the Novus Ordo Seclorum, you know, that some American president would basically bring in this new age. And when Raul's saying what he's saying, man, I got goosebumps right now. This new golden age, man, the last time anybody talked about a golden age, there was watchers on this planet.
Yep.
So I think that this is an awesome subject to talk about, because if you know the belief system of a people, if you understand their prophecies, like what's the guy that went into the Mayans and the Incas? I can't remember his name. The Spanish conquistador.
Oh yeah.
Help me out, everybody. Of course, I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, Cortez. So he understood that he could take over them without a fight if they all knew that at certain years there was going to be something catastrophic. So in their beliefs, they knew something catastrophic was coming. So he played on their belief systems. So Trump, being a smart guy and maybe being surrounded by certain people, can take advantage of, let's say, Christianity and these prophecies and try and put himself in this position and say the right things, even though he's pretending that they're that he doesn't know, or that they're subconscious. But everything is very deliberate here, and it's meant to have people, oh wow, this is so. I'm a conspiracy theorist, but at the same time, I like to, you know, point the mirror back. Like, I think Trump is a very brilliant man, whereas Joe Biden was a dead man. I think that Elon Musk is an imbecile. I think that he is not a smart person. I've listened to him talk there's to me there's nothing there. He seems very autistic. He doesn't seem like he's useful in any way other than, here, retard, just take this money and just be whoever we need you to be and just shut up. Just like, I mean, I think Bill Gates is more of a lineage thing, and I guess Elon Musk is probably a lineage thing too. And it's so funny how these inbred hillbillies that we call the elite, they're so inbred that this lineage right now, they're nothing special. And you got, mudbloods like us calling them out like, dude, you're not a king. You are not a king of men. You are this inbred hillbilly with a lot of money and no brains. And you're counting on the fact that we believe in certain prophecies that are coming to pass. Whereas I feel that we are the gatekeepers, and these things, we allow them to happen on our watch or we don't. And we are the Suicide Squad, the Gen Xers that have to stand up, or else there will be God's intervening. God will intervene because we didn't do a good enough job. And I know that bugs a couple of the guys. It's like, oh, you can't. Alex Pauls, who the hell are you to stop prophecy? I'm like, you know what? I'm living this video game. I'm trying my best to be the absolute hero and bring my team with me. And if we stand on this hill at the end of the day, like, man, we're pretty badass that we stopped, Trump from killing America. We stopped all these guys from doing these things. Then yeah, cool. And if I didn't do anything, if I just sat and played video games and watched Netflix and watched the world burn around me, then it's on me, man. It's my reality that's burning around me. It's my fault. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on here. And frankly, I'm not, just like Raul said, and I don't think I could have said it any better. Frankly, these days, I'm just not spending a whole lot of time thinking about those things. I mean, I'm worried about the things that are around me. You know what?
Yes.
I got record numbers. I was just on the phone with Dr. Will Spencer yesterday. I'm in Western North Carolina. We got people dropping like flies all around this place. And still the local people around here refuse to see the link, the correlation between the weather weapons that were unleashed here and what's happening right now. That's going to be a later program, but it just seems no matter how much, there was a guy that charlatan has said, no amount of evidence can shatter a faith consciously based on a lie.
Yes.
Meaning, no matter how much evidence you show these people, they're like still going to stay in the matrix. So I'm not spending a whole lot of time trying to change their minds. I mean, it's cool to talk about this stuff, but at the end of the day, like Raul said, it's not, all I'm doing is just beating my head against a stone wall, trying to get somebody to see something that should be as obvious as all get out. And that takes me right back to what Raul was saying earlier today. And bro, I want to hit you up about this because I'd like to hit you both up about it actually. Because I know it's happening up in Canada as well in different forms, but also in some of the same forms. Raul, you're not far from that fire out there. I mean, we were hit here in Western North Carolina with a hurricane that dropped the equivalent of 2 years of all the water that goes over Niagara Falls in 2 hours. And we're still, I mean, Dr. Will Spencer came through with scalar testing, come to find out that this place is so freaking polluted, it'll blow your mind. And it's a beautiful place to live. Now, out there in California, a lot of the same weird, crazy anomalies. Now, they weren't fires out here, but they were weather anomalies. And I had my friend T at Mountain Readiness basically point out, he says, hold on, let me get this right. I was telling him people were breaking my chops about the notion of them using weather weapons. And then he said something that I can't believe I never thought of before. He says, hold on, let me get this right. So people will believe you can split the atom. They'll believe that we can make chimeras, that we can make test tube babies. We can do all these things, but you find it a bridge too far to believe that they can drop stuff in the sky, which we got patent for, and it can change the weather and create some weird anomalies. Yeah. Now, bro, you're right in the hotbed, and I know you stay on top of this sort of thing because you're out in Arizona. You're not far from where all this went down, man. I mean, did anything that happened in California seem like a regular weather event to you?
No. I mean, I know the Santa Ana winds whip up, but usually when they whip up, it's for short amount of time. There's a certain amount of time that those winds will kick at that rate. And it's definitely not in January. I think it's mid to late summer when they're usually at risk for these fires and the Santa Ana winds are whipping around. So the fact that we got 80 to 100 mile per hour wind gusts for weeks on end already seems suspicious to me. You know, we hear stories of smart meters possibly blowing up. We hear stories of maybe direct energy weapons or something of the sort being used, you know, hidden behind pillars of smoke. How are these things spreading? Not to mention just that, you also got people on the ground, you know, possibly being funded and starting fires so they can go and loot areas. I mean, it's just a whole big old mess. And obviously, I think all this stuff was planned, right? And I find it really strange that in 2028, they plan to have the Olympics there in Los Angeles, right? So it's almost like that they're going in and they're clearing all this space. And I think there's more than just, you know, I think they want to implement like a smart city, you know, and it's get rid of the desirables. It's kind of funny how they cancel all these people's insurance policies, you know, days before this event takes place. And the one people, I'm sure these elites and these rich people that live in those areas, I'm sure their insurance policies didn't get canceled. But the insurance policies that did get canceled is going to drive those people out. The people that can afford to stay there will be able to stay there. And the people that they don't no longer want there, they'll just get rid of them. And now they have the opportunity as a land grab to take over this area and do what they want to do and implement this smart city and do all this ceremony to roll out the 2028 Olympics, just the whole timing of it, you know. But you just look at, there's no way that they made all these mistakes, you know, like the cutting the fire department's funding by $29 million, you know, for the fire department there in Los Angeles. You know, the destruction of the dams that would have created the reservoirs that they could have tapped the water to fight these fires because they wanted to save some fish species. You know, you got a LGBTQ fire chief that didn't want to hire white males or people that it took the vaccine. So now you got an understaffed and undermanned, undertrained fire department. Like they created the perfect storm, and they specifically timed it out for at this time for all these things to play out. So it's happening the way it is. And I think they are using weather manipulation, just like they did in your area, to isolate a storm. It's almost like that they're drying out certain places and pushing precipitation to certain places and keeping it in certain areas, and other places they're drying out. So it's like on the West Coast right now, everything's on fire, and the people in the South and in the East are being blanketed with water, snow, extreme cold weather, and then you got extreme drought and heat in the West. And it's this weird like yin and yang thing going on of evil in the country. And I don't know if you saw too, they just had a blizzard in Louisiana.
Yeah.
So it's like all this stuff is just so weird, and people want to sit here and they want to deny that they're doing these things. I mean, you can go look at these patents yourself. They're spraying strontium, manganese, barium, aluminum in the atmosphere. They spray it at a certain level. It blankets the sky, blocks out natural sunlight. It changes the weather, and then they can use 5G and radio frequencies to push these things around. And they've been doing this stuff since the 50s. I mean, you can go look at all the operations that they've done. They've been experimenting with this stuff on an unknowing population at times, like Operation Sea Spray. They did this in San Francisco on 800,000 people back in the 1950s. You know, the Operation DEW, they were studying the behavior of aerosol release bioagents. They were doing this in what was the one that they did in Vietnam? Operation Popeye. They've been doing this stuff, and you don't think that they've figured this thing out and how to use it and control it. And it's very strategically planned, and it's to break us down and get rid of these undesirables. And just like I said, they create the problem, and then they present this hero to come save you. Like Look at what happened. It disgusted me because LA catches fire and the media is all over it. It's on every football game. It's on every news event. It's on the UFC event. It's on every TV show, all the commercials, donate to help the people with the LA fires. But we've had this going on with months with your people in the region of the Appalachians. And nobody talked about helping out those people. But now all of a sudden Trump gets office and now he wants to help out. And I'm glad like he shined a light on it, you know, but it's almost like they're propping this guy to be the hero when they've already done enough damage and destruction that not even he can come and fix. So it's just this giant storm that they're creating, but they're going to come with their solution.
That's right.
It's like, how do we fight that? Well, first off, it's just getting people to wake up and realize that there is nefarious intent behind everything that's just happened. It's not natural. This is being manipulated and being forced upon us. And people need to wake up and realize this and stop being in denial.
I just wanted to go on live and say that we actually do have a solution, and it's called the Perma Dome. And Firmamental and Billy Bond, we're going to team up, and we're going to provide people with EMP shields for their homes, blue roof, bunkers. Dude, the Perma Dome, you heard it here, copyright, trademark, boom, there's the idea.
That's a winner, Alex.
We just solved it right there. As Ro was talking, I'm like, the Perma Dome. Is there anything better? Protect your family, protect your dome, protect your home.
Yeah,
bro, that's what I'm talking about. Man, that's a winner. But hey, I mean, you guys aren't honestly, bro, I hate to tell you this, but that is a pretty good business idea. I mean, honestly, bro, we just install blue roofs and make a killing. So yeah.
Blue roofs, get rid of the smart meter, get some microgreens going in your home. Some of us don't have, big backyards, or some people live in apartments. You can be growing microgreens, get a Kangen water machine, have your own clean water source.
The first thing I thought of when the smart meters blew up was the EMP shield. That was the first thing I thought of. I'm like, man, everybody's got to get that.
Yeah, but what they're able to do with that thing, I'd love to be able to dissect one and, get on the inside of it. But man, when you look at this stuff, I mean, like Raul said, all the weird anomalies that happened all the way back. People laughed at Dr. Judy Wood when she wrote the book, Where Did the Towers Go? Where she talks about 9/11, how those buildings were dustified. You have two buildings, each one an acre in footprint. And it went 110 stories up. Okay, we know through demolition science that for every 10 stories, you should have 1 story of debris if you bring it down. There wasn't even enough debris to fill the lobby at the World Trade Centers of 2 110-story towers. But the weird thing that went on back then is the same thing we've seen in Lahaina, same thing we've seen in Paradise, California, same thing we're seeing in LA, where you got weird anomalies where the glass is burned out of the freaking car, but you still got rubber tires sitting there. You got one girl pulling oranges. The leaves on the trees aren't even singed, and she's pulling oranges off a tree that was literally 5 feet away from the house that just got burned to the ground. It burned the rock. Bro, you tell me what does that. It burned concrete. I mean, it dustified it. It really did. And, Alex, you guys aren't immune to it up there in Canada. I mean, I'm guessing I've always wanted to ask you this, but every time I keep forgetting to ask. I mean, bro, all over the US, we have, in terms of weather, I mean, especially over the last several weeks, and I don't know if it's the same where you are, Raul, but bro, this whole country was covered in a fog, covered in chemtrails, covered in things. It made 0 sense, and it still doesn't. Are you noticing these anomalies up in Canada? I mean, or is it all? I'm hearing it's all over North America.
Me and Raul have talked about this a lot of times. I mean, just look at us. For anybody out there that's like 40 or 50 years old, think about your childhood. Think about looking up in the sky, and we would look at these big cumulonimbus clouds. I remember in grade 6, we learned about the different clouds. I don't see any of those types of clouds anymore. All I see is sheets of Either it's like a chemtrail or a contrail, as the non-conspiracy folks like to say, or just a big sheet of cloud. And that's in my area. So it comes off the Rocky Mountains over Calgary, and it's a sheet of cloud. But hardly ever do I see like a big cumulonimbus or a cirrus clouds, and it's crazy to me. I don't think that they even teach that to kids anymore either.
No.
It's like they would probably teach man-made clouds and make it seem normal now in school. But yeah, in Canada, our weather is crazy. And my wife's not a conspiracy theorist, but this was one of her breaking point things, that weather manipulation. When I told her about just a little bit about this, she went into a deep depression for about 2 weeks, that the government or whoever would manipulate our weather, whether it be good or bad, it doesn't matter. But you know that people always screw things up, and they'll always go for the money, and they'll be greedy. Because think about it, these patents, if there was forest fires, if California was burning and they could use weather manipulation to stop those fires in a day or two, why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they use that in Canada too in the forest fire season?
Bro, you just hit the golden goose right there, because that's why it'll never see the light of day. And that's one of the complaints that I have with the, with the Trump administration. Where's your golden ink pen to stop all these chemtrails? Because nobody at this point is going to tell me that this is not manufactured. I'm looking at it with my own 2 eyes. And Dr. Shiva put out, he says, and this is a number of other, I don't want to go too far afield here, but he's pointing out some pretty good stuff here on his Twitter channel. He said, okay, so where's the executive orders to stop all the funding to Israel and Ukraine? Where's the executive orders to stop the government backdoor censorship portals to all the social media companies? Because honestly, we would have 5, 10, maybe 20 times the people watching if we were on an equal playing field right now. Our podcast will be more equally distributed. I mean, he has a whole list of things here, but honestly, right here at the bottom of it is, I thought I saw something here on, removing vaccine mandates. Okay, where's the executive order for that? But like you said, it would be they would have an enormous can of worms to open, Raul, if they were to automatically admit exactly what Alex said right there. Oh, yeah, we can manipulate the weather. So then the natural next question is, well, why on earth didn't you turn the spigot on when things were going down in California?
And I think Alex mentioned this too in a previous episode. You're right next to the ocean. Couldn't they just swoop up big containers of water and dump them on those fires when you're right there next to the ocean? I know you destroyed the dams that create the reservoirs that you could have used for the fire hydrants, but I mean, you're next to an ocean. You can't fight fire with ocean water.
Salt is bad.
What is that why? Is it
Well,
because
the problem is you'll salt the ground, you'll never grow anything ever there. Well, you can grow something again, but generally, when Scipio invaded North Africa back in the first Punic War, one of the things they did was sow salt into the soil so they would never. I mean, so that's where the expression like salt in the earth came from. I mean, but that used to be one of the methods of doing that. So salt water would probably have that effect. But correct me if I'm wrong, but LA and those parts of the country ain't exactly hotbeds for farmland. So I mean, at that point, it's life. You're gonna have to prioritize life than crop production at that point. But I mean, I agree with you. I mean, that's absolutely the case. But all these weird anomalies where we see dustification of concrete and steel structures, how does that happen? And yet a tree right next to it, there's still oranges on it. Because I got news for you. When a tree suffers stress in the form of fire or anything like that, I mean, this is kind of in my wheelhouse. The first thing it's going to do is drop everything it doesn't need. And fruit is a luxury. So the first thing that tree would do under a stressful condition is to drop its fruit and its leaves in that order. And then, but Both of them are on the tree. I mean, when I saw that, I mean, this was like right after it happened. When I saw that, I smelled a rat. But does it frustrate you at all, Alex, that going back to what Raul said a minute ago? I mean, it's like no matter how much evidence, or maybe it was you that said it. I'm sorry, both you guys look the same to me on here.
It's extremely frustrating.
I mean, that no matter how much evidence is out there,
Yeah.
nobody seems to wake up.
Yeah.
Right. And I've been screaming at the top of my lungs that, just to go back to our earlier conspiracy theory, that big pharma is partnering up with big tech to squish you right now. And anybody that's talking about natural health. America, COVID was your absolute last wake-up call. If you aren't going to get healthy, if you are not going to prioritize your health more than anything else, what are you doing? That's all you have is your health. And if 50% of Americans are obese or diabetic or, pretty much 1 foot in the grave anyway, how hard do you think it would be to kill 150 Americans if they've already got 1 foot in the grave? Bro, all we do, and Canada's no exception, all we do is eat processed shit. Sorry if I'm not allowed to swear, but the crap that we eat is processed. They got these dyes. Europe, they're not even allowed to. We are not eating the same food that they do in Europe, not even close. And even with all the work that Billy does to try and have everything natural, the crap that they spray and the last bit of effort is praying over your food and hoping that God protects you.
Yeah.
Because that's all you can do is grow it yourself, keep it as clean as you can, and then pray the rest that God protects you as you put it into your temple.
Yeah, and that's to kind of go back to, that's one of the things that get me so frustrated, is that people think their memory has failed them, because I can remember being young and looking up in the sky, growing up here in Arizona and looking up. And, this is the Valley of the Sun. It's always sunny out here. You might get a few spotted natural clouds, but I don't remember for seeing weeks on end just blankets of sheets of gray that block out the natural sunlight. And I've just noticed, I pay attention every day to when I go outside. And the days that they're spraying these waffle patterns in our sky, and as the wind patterns naturally blow in, it's this really unnatural sheet. They're not natural clouds. And you can even look in the clouds, and it's like you can see the frequencies in the microwaves from the 5G systems. They look like little ripples. These aren't natural cloud phenomenon. And I saw this tremendous meme, and it showed Bob Ross painted, and it's like, do you remember Bob Ross ever painting chemtrails? Like, that wasn't a thing. Like, these clouds didn't even exist back then. But people seem to think like this has been happening forever. It's like, no, people, you have airplanes flying in and out of our city every day. The commercial airline flights aren't creating this phenomenon of chemtrails that just, you might, contrail just dissipates. These things are being sprayed, they linger, and they stick around for hours, if not days, and they probably do it under the darkness of night. And then I think what they're doing too is they spray it on the outer areas, and then they blow it into wherever the populations are living at. But it's so obvious to me that this is happening now, and it didn't happen when I was young. I can see it. I remember what the skies look like. This is an all-out attack, and people just refuse to see it. They just keep their heads down, or they keep their heads in their phone, and they're not paying attention to what's going on. And it's just like they've been poisoning us through the food supply. They've been poisoning us through set. I'm not going to say, because where we're at right now,
medicine.
But we got like we're poisoned with all these heavy metals, and it's like they're turning us into antenna for this Wi-Fi, and they're keeping us sick, and they're only offering us their solutions. But people, you need to wake up. And if we all came together and said, why is this going on? Who is doing this? Answer us. If we all wrote our congressmen and women, we all wrote our state representatives, and we are all this one big collective voice screaming to get answers for this. But that's the thing, not enough of us care. So our collective voice isn't loud enough to get answers, because people just think this is occurring naturally. It's not. That's what we're trying to point out to you guys. Wake up. Do you remember this when you're a kid? If you're older than 30 years old, you should remember what the skies look like when you were young. This phenomenon that we're seeing over our cities and even rural areas, it's not natural. That's what we're trying to point out to you. And go read these patents. Go read about these military operations that they've been doing, and go look at what they're putting in your food supply, and go look at what they're putting in your medicine, and that will point you to the problem. What are you going to do about it?
It wasn't long right after they attacked Western North Carolina. I kid you not, and I'm telling this story because somebody just sent a recent message regarding the same thing. I don't know if I'd heard it from Dane Wigington from Geoengineering Watch or someone else. Dane may have told me privately. I'm not sure. I hate it when I can't give attribution to who actually told me. But whenever they attack a particular area, there's this phenomenon that happens thereafter where they don't chemtrail at all. And you will see the bluest blue sky you've ever seen in your life. Because even on the days when you think it's blue, it really isn't. It really isn't. Because they, like Raul said, they spray at night, but they use sometimes a mist where it almost looks blue, but there's always a slight haze. And here in the mountains, you can always see it because you have a frame of reference as far away, like another set of mountains or whatever. And you can see that haze if you look closely enough. Now, right after they hit us in Western North Carolina, for 21 days at least, I'd say maybe even 30, it was the bluest blue sky, and I had recorded it. I actually have the videos right here on YouTube when we did a barn raising, and the blue was a blue that I don't even know how to describe. It was that blue. And then all of a sudden, people in California are emailing me right now telling me, hey, Billy, remember that time you talked about how blue the sky was? They said the same exact thing right now in the LA area and all the areas that were hit. It's the bluest blue I've ever seen in my life. And this is days removed from those fires out there. So it's like they're like, okay, we're going to give you a little bit of reprieve on the weather weapons right now. So I kid you not, it was a solid 21 to 30 days after they hit Western North Carolina. Now, the very same thing is going on. And like I said, people are emailing me because they heard me talk about it before. And I might even have pictures of it. But I do have pictures of what happened here in Western North Carolina. So I don't even think we know what a blue sky looks like anymore. But this is where I'm starting to get aggravated with, you know what? Okay, so Trump, where's your executive order on these chemtrails? Because there is no way he does not know about this. There is no way you could have the entire, almost all of North America. There was a guy that came out the other day with, oh man, I wish I had this video in front of me right now, but basically every landmass on this entire earth was covered by fog. Every landmass. How is that even possible? How is that even possible? But you're telling me there's no such thing as weather weapons. This is the part where I got to go back to what you were saying, Raul. Because honestly, I'm ready to pull my hair out. Because it's like no matter how much evidence you show, people just go right. And I'm convinced now that we are to the point that this is an ailment that only starvation cures. So well, okay, let me ask you guys. Alex, let me start with you.
Okay.
What do you think it will take for people to wake up and smell the corruption before they fall asleep drinking the hemlock?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I honestly think that, okay, depends on what day you ask me this question. I do believe that we are in the Great Awakening. What percentage of us are going to be part of it? Because I've said this on Firmamental many times. COVID was my Great Awakening. Although I was already kind of hip to 9/11, and I was just kind of a baby conspiracy theorist, and I still trusted the government. But after COVID, and after Big Pharma, and after Big Tech, consistently censoring, and with these pardons, how can any U.S. or Canadian citizen still trust the government? There is nothing. I wouldn't trust them with anything at all, because they have lied. They're psychopaths. They will lie about absolutely everything. They lie about where we live, what we live on. They lie about the moon. They lie about the sun. They lie about God. They lie about that we're monkeys. They lie about absolutely everything. How? And then you have people like us trying to get out there, and then Gangnam Style has 10 billion hits. Like, what the heck are we like? Like, seriously, more people know this than the government is evil.
Yeah.
I don't know what is going to wake up the masses, but I hope the Great Awakening at least gets 60 to 70%, because that's probably 5 or 6 times more than what we need to completely get this train back on the track and going in the right direction. I think you only need 10% on board, fully stocked, ready to rock and roll. You only need 10%. But if we got 60 or 70, man, these guys get out the way, because we're coming.
Yeah.
Well, 3% won the American Revolution. And you know, I always love it when people say, well, we fought well, which part were you in? Were you in that 3% or the 97%?
Right.
So, Raul, let me ask you the same question, bro.
I was just going to quickly say that if everybody out there was watching a movie, we would be the good guys and you'd be cheering for us. But because this is reality, we're the bad guys, and we got to trust the government. The government's you're going to protect us. And no, you always cheer for the Red Dawn rebels. Like, come on.
Bam.
Sorry, Raul.
Yeah.
Wolverines.
Go ahead, Billy. What were you going to ask me?
Yeah, no, I wanted to know, what do you think it's going to take to hit that to hit that point where, like Alex was saying a moment ago, I mean, honestly, I hear people saying all the time, well, people are waking up. People are waking up. People are waking up. I don't see it. What does it take? Does it need to get way worse? I mean,
I hope not.
I mean, what has to happen for people to actually wake up and realize what's going on?
Man, I just think that, so as conspiracy theorists, or just people that question everything, right? It's good to question things. When you're curious, that's how you learn. And I just think people are just so consumed with their day-to-day life and just having luxuries that they're not paying attention to these things, because until it comes knocking on their doorstep, they're just ignoring it. And it's like they don't realize that they're one click away, one disaster away from it being on their doorstep, and they have no clue how it arrived. You know, and we're just trying to point out things, like recognize the patterns, people. We've had patterns going on. It's like, I saw, I think I was listening to the Dimming recently. I think is where I heard this, but it said half the people that, I think it was on the Dimming, they said half the people that die of so-called natural causes, you know, not from trauma or, you know, accidents, but people that die of quote unquote natural causes, die with dementia or have some form of dementia. Look at the rate of autism. Look at all these things that are just exploding. Like autism used to be like 5 in 1,000 kids. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm just speaking generally, but they used to be like 5 in 1,000 kids would have autism. And now it's like 5 in 20 have autism. And then you look at like heavy metal poisoning and what it does. Well, aluminum causes dementia. You know, all these heavy metals and the stuff that they've been putting in our food supply is now affecting the birth rates and affecting our children's health. It's like, don't you guys see these patterns, and don't you guys see what they're doing to us? We want you to wake up and realize that this stuff is going on, but people are in ignorant bliss until they have a miscarriage, until they have health problems, until there's a fire at their doorstep or their community gets hit with a hurricane. We're just trying to wake you up and say, see these things for what they are, so that we can gain a collective voice and cry out for something to be done about it. Because if not enough of us are caring, then they're not going to listen. We have to come together. And I think that's why it's so big on all the agendas to keep us split apart, so we can't come together as a community. You know, you're in this camp, you're a lefty, you're a righty, you're black, you're white, you're this, you're that. And we put labels on everything, and we get comfortable, and we have these algorithms on our phone, and whatever it is that you like, it feeds people from your community. You're not looking at information from other sources. Like, we need to find a way to kind of like ditch these things. Like right now, I'm fasting from social media for 21 days, and I'm wondering if I even ever want to go back, because it's just an echo chamber, and people are just echoing back the things that, like, hey man, I'm okay if we find out the earth isn't a level plane. Now, I think it's a level plane. I believe in biblical cosmology, but could we be wrong about exactly all the intricate details? The one thing we know is that we're being lied to. We might not have all the answers. We might not know exactly how the model looks, but we know that the information that we've been fed is wrong, and that it's lies. And that's what all we're trying to point out. We're not saying we have all the answers. We're not claiming we know it all, or we even know what to do. But you guys at least recognize there's a problem and ask for answers from the people that are supposed to be in power to help us out. And how do we do it? Like, if we have to use the enemy's weapons against them, right? And this has been said before on other podcasts, but look at David and Goliath. David knocked Goliath out with a rock, okay, but he didn't kill him with the rock. He actually unsheathed his sword and cut his head off with his own sword. So we got to learn to use the tools that have been given to us by our enemies to eventually slay that enemy. So we're trying to exist in this matrix and figure it out, and figure how to get past the AI algorithms that are flagging words, and how to get this information out there. But it's like we're fighting a monster that's bigger than us. But we got to realize that we're David. It's just like, how are we using these stones that we have at our disposal? How are we gaining access to the enemy's sword so we can behead them? We're trying to figure it out. But it's like, if you're sitting around doing nothing, just in ignorant bliss, eating fries all day and watching social media and doom scrolling, you're not doing anything. Like, do self work, read your Bible, fill yourself up with the wisdom of God, and do internal work and get rid of bad habits. Be the best person you could be, and talk about these things, and don't care if somebody thinks you're crazy, because in the end, we'll be able to rock these shirts that say, I told you so. Everybody needs a conspiracy theorist friend in their camp, even if they annoy them. But just, guys, we just want you to recognize that all this stuff that's happening is not just because weather manipulation, weather change, and just the natural cycle of things. These things are being forced on us. That's all we want you to recognize.
Well, Raul, you answered the next question I was going to ask, because Blythe in the chat was asking talk solutions. Man, you just dropped a bunch of them right there. But Alex, I'd like to ask you as well, and maybe I'll cover that on the back end too, as we kind of bring it to a little bit of a close here, unless you guys have something else you want to add. But obviously, I mean, I've never been one, well, I can't say I've never, but I always try. Whenever I present a problem, I always at least, it's my, on this farm, my rule is, don't ever come to me with a problem to which you haven't already thought of 2 solutions. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Raul just dropped a bunch of them right there, but on your end, I mean, how, from a family standpoint, how do you navigate that in terms of solutions?
Oh, wow. Okay. I was going to answer it, but it applies to the family as well. The best thing that I can do for myself and my family and my community is make this guy the absolute best version of himself. Just like Raul was saying, you go into the Bible, you listen, you check out the first commandment of Jesus is love thy neighbor. If you can love your neighbor as much as you love yourself, and first of all, if you love yourself truly and you go out and you make the world a better place, you are naturally teaching your children, because they're watching you. They don't care about what you say. They care about what you're doing. So if you're going out and being the man, and your wife is being the woman that they look up to, and they want to be more than some rapper or some athlete, like, you are your children's hero because of who you are. And when you go out into the world and you bless the world with your presence, that's everything. That really is the secret to all of the solutions. And it's probably one of the toughest solutions, to love yourself, work on yourself, because you're always trying to fix somebody else's mess before you fix your own. I think that's just a human nature thing. But with the wisdom that we're, mid 40s, I realized that when I put that If we're on the airplane and it's crashing, we put that mask on first, and then we go and we help others. And I feel like so much of the propaganda is about sacrificing yourself for the greater good. And what happens when you sacrifice yourself? Like, nobody cares. Like, no Hollywood star cares if you die, if you're fat, if you're sick, if your house burns down. None of those people care, because you have to care about yourself more than you care about a celebrity, and give those energy vampires your energy, because that's all they're doing, is they're sucking those things away. So if you keep your energy in your own home with your family, you're doing incredible things for your family, and consistently doing that, you will naturally go out into the world and make the world a better place. You don't have to sacrifice yourself for the greater good. You are the greater good. And when you go out, you will make everything better. That's how you sow your seed.
Bam, that's what I'm talking about. And then I'll hit that one also. From where I'm standing, I'm already doing, when you say, what about solutions? That's exactly what this YouTube channel and the podcast is all about. It is, when I was able to do more of it, it was like, okay, this is how we raise our egg layers for free. This is how we raise our meat birds for free. This is how we raise all of our animals for free. This is how we raise our pigs for 21 cents a pound. This is how we do it. And as far as solutions, at the end of the day, I know people go on about Bitcoin, they go on about gold. Well, I got news for you. You know what? Going right back to that biblical precedent, if you can buy a birthright for a bowl of soup, I'm pretty sure I could shake down a guy that had all the Bitcoin in the world if he didn't have anything to eat. I'm not that kind of guy. I wouldn't do that. But I'm saying that my priority is, at the end of the day, I'm trying to create solutions right here on YouTube, but this is exactly what they don't want. They don't want us congregated here. They don't want you to know how to feed yourself. They don't want you, like, it's funny Raul said that, because I'm in something of a sabbatical myself. I mean, I have to use this bugging device to a certain extent to handle business, whether it's banking, whether it's, I run multiple businesses here along with my wife, and it's like George Washington described government. It can be a dangerous servant or a fearful master. And it all comes down to how you use it. And if you're not careful, this thing will run you. But now, like you were talking about, because I'm aware and because I've been doing so much work in terms of people care, that I'm realizing just how dangerous these little bugging devices could be, just in terms of your health. So there are times throughout the day where nobody's going to reach me because I got this thing on airplane mode, or I don't even have it near me.
Yeah.
Or if I am using it, I'll make sure that I have it a fair distance away from me, because I have all the electrical meters, I have all the testing equipment, and I know just how bad these cell phones are. And folks, if you're wearing those ear pods, they're even worse. They're Kentucky frying your brain. I know, because I've tested all this stuff. But as far as solutions, it's taking, like Raul said a little bit ago, that little bit of sabbatical, and it's also being the example for your family. And at the same time, the idea with this YouTube channel was to never forget, even though I'm being suppressed, even though I'm being shadow banned, I don't care. I'm still as passionate about this. I'm still passionate about teaching permaculture, preparedness, and practical living as I was when I was still an electrician, working on my tools, talking to my tool buddy about it. I've never forgotten that, never will. And as far as these solutions go, and as far as how I'm going about it, I'm trying as best I can through YouTube.
Coda, stop.
All the things I can. Yeah, we can hear you, bro.
Oh shoot, I thought I was muted.
No, everybody out there, they're up here. They're clicking off now. They're like, okay, I'll turn it off. No, but when you get down to brass tacks, I mean, I'm trying to do the best I can. Do I get it right all the time? Absolutely not. But that's precisely why I have the Permaculture Pimpcast. Part of why these guys do the Firmamental podcast is to evangelize these things that you will never hear anywhere else. And that's the beauty. That's exactly why you ought to go over there, go to wherever you listen to your podcast, and go check out my boys, the Firmamental podcast. I don't know why I'm so tongue twisted. I'm running out of water here. That's what's up. Yeah, kind of like the fires in California. Ain't no. Look, man, there ain't no water in this hydrant. So, but man, it's always a joy to hang out with you guys. So tell everybody where they can find you and how they can subscribe and what you guys are up to.
Yeah, for sure. Real quick before we do that, can you guys hear me? I was trying to mute myself because the dog's going crazy over here. I don't know what's going on. Sorry, you heard me yelling at my dog to shut up. But no, you know what? I just want to say something awesome that I heard from a service that I went to this past Sunday. My pastor said, put down the weed, get in the word. Put down the fifth, pick up your faith. Hope is our new dope. That's, we need to focus on things higher than ourselves. And we got to understand God's ways are higher than man. And this world is offering us man-made solutions. We got a God and a creator that is greater than the problems of this world. And if you surrender your heart over to him and if you get in his word, that's how you protect yourself from these lies. That's how you protect yourself from these demons trying to infiltrate your spirit, your temple, your mind. Rebuke these things in Jesus' name. Get in that word. Do the hard internal work. And fill your mind up with hope and focus on the next kingdom to come. Don't focus on the kings ruling this kingdom, because we serve the ultimate king who's going to come and set everything right. I truly, honestly believe that. I'm not living in fear. That's their whole agenda, is to just fill us with all this fear so they can offer us their solutions and keep us in this little box. And I just wanted to read a scripture from Isaiah 55, verses 8-9. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than yours, and my thoughts than your thoughts. And put your hope and trust in the creator of this universe, not the destructors of this universe. And don't entertain these demons. Cast them out, rebuke them, and do that good internal work and keep your vision focused on the Most High. That's how we win this game. The ultimate truth, the one real truth that they're trying to hide from you, is the fact that Jesus Christ came here and died for you so you can escape this realm and have a crack in eternal life. And with his name and with his authority, we have the faith of a mustard seed. We have the power to move mountains and remove these demonic forces from our life. So if I said anything during this whole podcast that's the truth, is that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and he is who he claimed to be, and he is the escape button out the matrix. I promise you. You can find us. We're all platforms, host podcasts. We do have a Rumble channel. Haven't been using it too much. Probably start using that a little bit more. Firmamental 5 on Instagram. I'm fasting from social media, so if you send me messages there, I'm probably not going to see them. Alex, I don't know what he's doing with TikTok, but go check us out. The best way to find us is thefirmamentalpodcast.com. Go check us out. You can link to episodes through there. We have an awesome shop where Alex and his wife did some amazing. I think we got some of the dopest truther gear in the game. We have awesome designs that Alex and his wife worked on. And go check us out. You could leave speak pipe messages there. We'll play your messages on the podcast. And yeah, man, hope is the new dope. I'll leave it at that. Protect your dome. That's what we always say too on the show. So.
Protect your dome. Alex, anything that Raul left out? I mean, where any parting words, any parting wisdom?
Oh, I got some words for you guys. So I wanted to make Billy and the audience laugh today, and I hope I accomplished a little bit of that. And we got into some conspiracies, and Raul brought the thunder, and I hope that I didn't just ramble on with my caffeinated self, but me and Raul were talking a little bit before the podcast, and we love Billy's slang and his sayings. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to bring to the table some Canadian sayings that Billy can now add to his repertoire. So I think it's just a nice way to end the episode. And these are some of my trade secrets, my friend. I'm going to pass them on to you, okay? Now, if you have heard of them, I'm sorry. Hopefully, I'll give you a couple that you haven't heard, okay?
No, lay them down, bro.
Are we ready? Okay. So colder than a polar bear's nutsack? That's definitely a Canadian thing. Now, you know it's cold.
Well, it wouldn't be a trans-testicle polar bear's nutsack.
There's so many cosmic things, because that was the first one I wrote. And then when you put that down, I'm like, dude, and he's taking his shirt off, just like the guy in the video. I'm like, Is this scripted? Is this wrestling? What's going on here? This guy's fooling with me. Okay. What else do I got here? I got some good ones here for you. Oh, have you heard of this one? Good enough for the girls we go out with.
Oh yeah.
You heard that one? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's totally Canadian though. If you've heard that, it's because of a Canadian electrician.
Okay.
Good enough for the girls we go out with. So that's like, it's okay, but it'll get the job done. Dumber than a bag of hammers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
a
know that
Canadian
one.
one too. Dumber than a bag of
Really?
hammers. Useless, about as useful as tits on a bull. I figured you'd love that one.
Yeah, these are all ones I know. You haven't hit me with anything I don't know yet.
Oh man. Okay, well, I'm gonna really get into the Canadian stuff. Oh, the Canadians in the chat are probably losing it on me right now. I'm sorry, everybody. How about have you heard of effing the dog? That's a Canadian saying.
Oh yeah.
The dog.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm glad it wasn't a polar bear.
Right. So if you're effing the dog, you know you're slacking at work, right? But in true Alberta fashion, everybody from Alberta who's listening to me right now, Buddy's giving her. Have you heard of that?
No, I
Buddy's
haven't
giving her.
heard that.
No, that's the opposite of effing the dog. If Buddy's giving her, he's going all out for you.
Okay.
So
Well,
you gotta say
yeah,
Buddy's
these
giving
sound
her.
like things you would definitely hear on the job site.
Yeah, there you go. Out for a rip, are you, bud? That's a Canadian.
I like that.
That means you're just going out for a cruise or on the property. So you say that to Michelle, I'm going out for a rip, bud. Canadian saying, okay. And have you heard of Gitch? Gitch, you know what that is, right?
No,
That's a Canadian thing. That's for underwear. That's your Gitch.
your gitch.
Yeah. So if you need, it's men's underwear. So if you're talking about like long underwear, like thermal, that's your Gitch.
Oh, okay. I got you. I got you.
It's a Canadian thing. So in the South, you probably don't worry about Gitch too much. But, when you're an Arctic electrician like myself, you got to get your Gitch on and get out there and go out for a rip, bud.
Yeah.
And the last one is once the job's done, you go out and celebrate with a 2-4. I don't know if you guys know what a 2-4 is, but
A
what's
pint?
the two-
2-4 is a 24 case of beer.
Oh, okay.
That's a Canadian thing.
Well,
So,
what else do you do when it's up there, when it's that cold up here? Well, you know what? I might have to cut and paste some of those, but you know what? I might actually come up with a shirt. Somebody actually sent me an email with all the things I say on here, and they said they wanted to put it on a shirt or something like that.
Exactly.
Dude, the ultimate mic drop one that I heard you say on a recent episode, and I think Pat Militich said he's going to use it for his products that he sells, right? And it was, I'm doing more on 6 foot of mattress than a monkey with 60 feet of vine. When I heard you say that, dude, I was like, dude, I spit my drink in my car when I heard you say that. I was like, where does Billy come up with this stuff? You are the ultimate mic drop, brother. And we know you're Freedom Williams from CNC Music Factory. That's how you got all these skills.
Legendary.
Oh man, you guys are the best, man. It's maybe one of these days, folks. I mean, I know there's a lot of people. When I kind of floated the idea before, and Alex and Raul and I had actually talked about maybe, I don't know if we can get to a world where this planet, the world wouldn't be in such a snarl if Marx had been Groucho instead of Carl. So if we can get to the point where we get at least some semblance of normality around here, it would be really, really cool to be able to have some sort of, I don't know whether it's a symposium or whether it's on a boat or whether it's at a resort or whatever the case may be, where we could actually have some sort of get together, and anybody who's fans of the shows or whatever might be able to come all, in one place and be able to kind of hang out and do some stuff. I mean, I know the thing is, I know we both have shows that are, mine was more focused on permaculture in the beginning, and you guys were focused more on the firmament type thing. But as time goes by, you become a one-trick pony if you don't try to find ways to, there's only so many different ways I can cover permaculture. There's only so many different ways you guys can cover what you do. And so, because we all are thinkers and, have interests that stretch beyond, the certain confines in which our podcasts are, we cover a lot of stuff. and we bring a lot of different people from different interests in. And, it would be cool one of these days, whenever I don't know, maybe we'll get a little bit of stability with Trump. And maybe we could do something interesting that'll be fun. Arizona, you ain't far from, there's a lot of interesting things over there, man. Or, it would be kind of cool to go on a cryptid hunt or something like that.
Let's do that.
Yeah. That's why I said Arizona, man, because you got some stuff over there I wouldn't mind taking another look at. Or we could all go up to Mount Graham and look at that telescope that the Vatican has up there, that Lucifer binocular telescope up on Mount Graham. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of cool things that we can wind up doing, but plus we can get a lot of cool footage out there. Maybe even make a weird documentary when Alex gets pulled up in one of those spaceships.
We can go to Sedona with all those weirdos that want to contact you. But I'm not. The Bible forbids communicating with the dead and summoning spirits. So like, I'm not going to ask them to come. But if they just come, then we see them. But that's a good place to see some of that phenomenon. Is up there in Sedona, Arizona. We got the Mongolian rim monster. That's Bigfoot. That's Arizona's version of Bigfoot. We got Mount Graham. So we could do a UFO Mongolian monster and Mount Graham wraparound trip of Arizona, man. That'd be fun.
I would, when I was out there at Mount Graham that last time, I really do want to go up there and do the tour. I'll have to tell you guys what happened when I was at the museum down below, because basically I shut the whole thing down, and I'll have to tell you about that story sometime. Well, hey guys, it's always a joy to hang out with you. We got to do this more often. Folks, go check them out. Firmamental podcast. You can listen to them everywhere. These guys are my friends, and honestly, it's always a joy to have them. Until next time, y'all stay alert, stay alive.
They don't want an individual, just a carbon copy. You spitting that manicotti, yeah, I'm talking saucy. All they want to build is a prison world full of pet Tamagotchis. Like the kamikaze, got me out of body like I'm Goku SS3. They want to push me to the center like a cell. They want to swim up at the center of the nexus, me. They want me to bow down, but I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. I will never bow down, 'cause I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. They want me to bow down, but I'm a warrior.